Just a quick walk around, first look here at, it might be one of the first 145s with the two-piece boom in Canada. I'm not 100% sure on that, but since I had to wait 9 months for it, I'm thinking it might be. So on this one, I got a shorter stick on it than I had on the previous one, and I'm going to be putting a top hitch in between the tilt rotator and the bottom of the stick. So I think the stick on the new one's about 1.5 feet shorter than the old one, but I'll gain back some of that with the extra build height on the tilt rotator. So that'll be going on in the next week or so here. So the machine itself, one of the biggest changes is the cab. They got the swing out door instead of the roll out door, which I didn't notice until I've been sitting in both of them side by side here, that there's actually quite a bit more space in the cab, so that's nice. There's a few improvements in there, I'll jump in there afterwards. Other than that, everything looks pretty similar in here. They've changed this lockout feature here, and from what I understand, it's sort of, you can lock it out if you're working on the machine, but also when you turn it off at the end of the day, it'll leave the power to the DEF pump for a little bit, so that the DEF fluid can drain back into the tank so that you don't have freezing lines. So that's interesting. I'm not exactly sure what all this piping's for that's different than the old one. I imagine it's something to do with the emissions. So walking around, we got the backup camera, which the old one had as well, but we also have a side view camera on this one, which wasn't on the old one. I think that's a big bonus on that one, because the side view is not the greatest on these, on the blind side. So other than that, that all looks pretty much the same. You got your DEF tank up there. All this is pretty similar to the old one. You get all your emissions jazz up there. Filters pretty same as the old one. Pump. So going around the front, you got 2 and they're LED now, the lights, as opposed to 1 on the old one. Other than that, look pretty similar. One of the nice things about the Volvo is their dozer blade is pretty beefy. The rams are substantial compared to some other brands out there, which is similar to the old one here. A two-piece boom on this thing has a giant cylinder on it. The thing's a beast. We'll jump inside here. There's that cylinder I was talking about. So some of the improvements they made in the cab here, other than the display, which we'll look at in a minute. The windshield washers are now on a dial, which they were on a button before, so that's better. Got a little bit of storage here. Obviously the cab's a little bigger over in this area. So on the display now, here's the dual camera view. So that's the machine sitting, my old machine next to me. That's the back. And in the old machine, we had a backup camera, but as soon as you turned on the camera, you lose all your dials here, so you couldn't see what your fuel was at or temperature or anything. So that's a nice little feature there. I haven't played with this at all, so I don't really know what's. Looks pretty similar to the old one. They still have this stupid dozer control on the wrong side. It's right here. But with the Engcon joysticks, I'm hoping to be able to put it over onto this joystick. So we'll see in the next couple weeks here if we can get that to happen.